Back to Miller. Oh my goodness.
Herbert.
Sidearm sling, and it's a touchdown.
Tyrese Maxey.
Oh, good spin move by Filipowski for the news. Give him 9.
All right, what's going on, everybody? This is Beef Up Front. I'm obviously not Ryan Coyle. I'm Joe Kmetz, joined alongside some people who have we did a podcast before last football season. These guys have also been on Beef throughout different times of the show, but Coyle's busy this week down in Atlantic City, hopefully dominating the sports books. So the four of us are stepping in this week. I'm joined with Luke, Ben, and Michael. We are making picks this week for college basketball. Big weekend ahead, boys. We got 10 games here, 5 games between 2 ranked teams. But before we dive right in, you can tell, obviously, there's a reason why I don't do hosting with the show. But how are you guys doing? Welcome to the show. Thank you guys for helping me out this week.
Hey, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, let's get this done, boys.
Hello, Coyle. Thanks for the appearance.
Yeah,
all right.
Got some mark.
Yeah. People forget that. This is going to go great. All right. We're going to dive right into our first game. Coyle and I normally, might do a little bit of bubble talk, but I'm just going to kind of dive right into the games. We got a really good slate. Starting with Friday night, we have number 21 Dayton going to Loyola Chicago. That's a 9:00 game on ESPN2. We're using Haslam metrics for the spreads and the over-unders. He projects the game to be Dayton 70, Loyola 66. So we're going to go with the spread of Dayton minus 3.5. Going to have the over-under sit at 135.5. Ben, start us out with this one.
All right. So right now, as it stands, both these teams half a game back. Richmond in the A10. I think Richmond's playing tonight, maybe. I think they're up. But so I expect this to be a big game for both of them, both averaging, I think, like 74 points a game. So I'm taking that over. But I do think I'm going with Loyola Chicago in this one as the dog. And there's 13-2 at home this season, and I think they just get it done. Close game, but I think they get it done.
All right. Michael, what do you think?
I got Dayton winning. They're coming off that 14-point win. I think they're just going to keep that momentum going until the end of the season and just dominate. Honestly, that's
all right.
All right.
Luke.
Well, I think this is more of a coin toss for me. But, kind of going off the back of what Ben was saying there, Richmond's at the top of the A10 right now, and both teams are kind of just fighting to get up there. I think I'm going to roll with Loyola Chicago, though, here in a bounce-back game. They dropped a game on Tuesday to Bonaventure there. You said the spread's 3.5. I could see it maybe being a pick 'em or close to a pick 'em. But, I think I'm going to roll with Loyola here.
Yeah, Luke, I'm going to go Dayton 67, Loyola 64. So I think Dayton will win the game. But I do agree. If you can get Loyola Chicago at plus 3.5, I think that's great value. That would be huge. That would be bordering a mortgage game for me. I wouldn't put the mortgage on this game. But Loyola Chicago having a great bounce back year. Last year, they were depressingly bad. Ever since I think we were seniors in high school, Michael, you were a sophomore when they went on that Final Four run in the 2017. It might have been the 2018. Yeah, it might have been the 2018 tournament. They went to the Final Four.
They had that
Sister Jean. She was dominating.
Sister Jean. Coyle hates her, doesn't he?
I think America has flipped. I think we're over the Sister Jean.
I think she's like 104 now.
She's the oldest that there's ever
been.
The
year after they had that big run, didn't they have like another 2 or 3 wins
in the COVID tournament? They had that Krutwig, the big goofy white center. He was like a chubby dude. That was when I picked Illinois to win the national title, and they beat them in the round of 32. But yeah, Loyola Chicago 20-8. They're pretty good at home this year. You guys were alluding to it earlier. It is crazy how Dayton is the only ranked team in the A10, but Richmond currently has possession of first place. It is kind of wild how good that conference is under the radar. And Loyola Chicago probably not going to get an at-large bid, but this win will go a long way towards getting them a top 2 seed in the A10, potentially. If who knows how the bubble's going to shake out if they win out and potentially go deep in the A10 tournament. You never know with how weak the bubble is this year. I don't see them right now being at large, but you win this game, you never know. But I still think Dayton's going to win this game on the road. They're just a better team. 22-5, even though it feels like they have way more losses because of the 3 of the 5 losses being in the A10. But I'm going to go Dayton to pull this one out in Chicago on Friday night. But moving along to our next game in the SEC, we are on to Saturday, 12 o'clock on ESPN. Number 24, Florida, going to number 18, South Carolina. I believe Florida just pulled their game out tonight against Missouri. I saw that game was back and forth. Yeah, they won 83-74. South Carolina right now up 3 against Texas A&M at halftime. We're recording this on Wednesday night about 9:30, a little bit late of a start. No surprise when I'm hosting. But Haslam Metrics actually projecting this game 72.84 to 72.38. Very close game. So we're going to set this as a pick 'em. Going to put the over-under at 143.5. Luke, I'm going to start with you for this one.
Yeah, I was, I made this before we actually did the metrics here, and I was thinking the over-under is going to be at like the 150s, mid to high 150s. So I was thinking the under for this game would be the play, but both teams shoot around 45% from the field. Florida has scored over 80 in their last 4 or 5, which I think is, pretty consistent in terms of scoring. So, I think the line would be a little juiced, but I guess not. So South Carolina, in the last 4 games against ranked opponents this year, they've averaged 67.5 points, which is on the relatively low side for them. So I would just consider, Florida has been able to, be good down the stretch here. But so I would go Florida in this game. I think they're going to be able to outscore them down the stretch, especially. But yeah, I'm going to roll with Florida for this one.
All right, Ben.
Yeah, I'm going with Florida too. I think they're just capable of scoring more points and slowing down South Carolina enough to get the win. They are averaging just more points, boards, blocks, and steals than them. So I can just see them score more and just getting enough. See it being maybe a close game, but 143.5, I could probably go with the over on that one. And like I said, pick them, going with Florida. But a little prop here. I could see Tyrese Samuel, Florida, 8+ boards. I don't know. I can't get any odds on it because I'm in PA, but that would be my little fun prop for this game.
Okay, so I'm unloading the mortgage on that Saturday. Thank you, Ben. Michael,
Yeah, hey.
I think Florida's going to win. They have not played good against ranked teams, and honestly, I think they're low-key frauds. They got demolished by Auburn, so I don't know. I think they're on fraud watch right now for me. I'm taking Florida.
Yeah, I mean, South Carolina definitely came out of nowhere. They did have that 40-point loss to Auburn. Then they come back at home in a seemingly like a bounce-back spot. I thought they were going to beat LSU by 100. They end up getting upset at home. You can make the argument that it was kind of good for them, kind of woke them up, humbled them a little bit. And that's kind of my logic here. I'm going South Carolina 77, Florida 75. So I'm going to go, obviously, South Carolina on the pick 'em, and I like the over if it's set at 143. Luke, I'm with you. I feel like it'll be more in the 150s on Saturday when you see the lines come out. But if it's at 143.5, I will definitely hammer that. You have South Carolina, like I said, they're up 3 right now on A&M on the road. Then South Carolina kind of showed me a lot when they smoked Ole Miss last week. Ole Miss, I have right now over here, they're playing Alabama. Big one for their bubble hopes if they want to stay alive. But that's an Ole Miss team, like I kind of just alluded to, that's desperate, fighting for every game. And South Carolina really went in there and took care of business. I wouldn't be shocked if Florida won this game. I'm not saying, that they can't, but I think South Carolina will pull it out late. Huge, huge home game. And then they also have maybe the biggest game in their program's history in terms of at home. They have number 4 Tennessee coming to town on Wednesday. That's going to be an exciting game. I can't wait to watch. But I'm going to go with South Carolina here, setting us up because Tennessee really, we're going to talk about Tennessee in a little bit. They have the game against Auburn tonight. Then they're going to Bama Saturday, which we're going to talk about. Then they're going to South Carolina. Tough back-to-back there for Tennessee, who's looking to try to wrap up with Alabama, only a half game out of first place in the SEC. But we're going to move on here. 1 o'clock on ABC. Number 7 Kansas going to number 15 Baylor. I'm going to go I'm about to give my pick. Haslam has the game Baylor 74, Kansas 69. So Baylor minus 4.5, over under 142.5. Michael, you start us out this time.
Yeah, I'm taking Baylor this game. They're coming off that tough overtime loss on Saturday to Houston. I think they're going to bounce back off that. They beat TCU, what was it, yesterday or 2 days ago? And I think they'll keep that momentum up. And Kansas, too, lost to BYU. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago, too? So
Shocking loss, yeah.
I honestly think that Baylor's going to keep the momentum going, and I'm taking their spread that game, too.
All right, Luke.
Yeah. I had Baylor opening up this game as about 3-point favorites. We have it at 4.5 here. I could see it like 3 or 4. It sounds about right. It feels like Kansas, is missing McCullough scoring ability. It's kind of catching up to him here down the stretch. Kansas was able to win, a close game against Baylor at home about a month ago with McCullough, or without McCullough, excuse me. And it looked like, they will be tasked to do this again without him against Baylor. I really don't see it. I think they're kind of struggling without his scoring ability here. So whatever, Baylor's spread is, I'll just say hammer, and I'm going to go with Baylor.
I like it, Ben.
Yeah, I'm going with Luke and Michael on this one too. Baylor since 2000 is only 6-12 at home, but I just think Kansas without McCullough just can't get it done. Bench scoring for Kansas, terrible. 344 out of 351. I looked it up earlier before this. Some teams just around there, Air Force, Ball State, Detroit Mercy, and Providence are some teams just around there. Like that's terrible. Like that's so bad.
I was in shock.
It is really bad. And Ben, I'm laughing too. One team you didn't say that you wrote down, Mississippi Valley State. I got to see them play UConn earlier in the year. And let me tell you, I think the 4 of us could go out there and we could get a couple bucks.
I don't know about.
It's crazy to me how they're a team, a blue blood like Kansas doesn't have a bench. Like
have a bench that bad. Crazy. That's what I looked it up because I knew they were bad, but like some teams I just saw around there, I laughed at. Like,
yeah,
it's crazy.
It is. It makes no sense. Like their bench is historically bad, as you were saying, historically bad. Definitely can't trust Kansas, in my opinion, once the tournament comes around. I mean, I don't trust them now. I'll keep it quick. But I'm also going with Baylor, excuse me. I'll go with them to cover. I have them 77-70. I'll pick the over for the purpose of the show, but I'm probably going to stay away from that, in terms of the game in general. But you guys already said everything, and Kansas on the road is terrible. And like you said, the depth hurts them, because normally Kansas at home you can trust. But, Michael, like you said, BYU, I had Kansas. I put them money line in a parlay. I was like, oh, no big deal. It's Kansas at home. All of a sudden, I get the update as I'm getting ready for bed. I didn't even have the game on. The Kansas lost. I was like, that's crazy.
What were they
for BYU there? They were,
I don't know, minus 200-300.
I think they were like minus 330 when I got them, something like that. Yeah,
I figured they were like heavier favorites.
What was the spread? 8.5 or 7.5?
I'm guessing like 8.5 if it's like 330, maybe even 9.5, depending on where you could get it. But yeah, that was a crazy loss for Kansas. We're going to move on here now. This game, number 13, Illinois at Wisconsin. This game is on Saturday. I forgot down what time, of course. But we're going to start. Ben, you give the pick. I'll tell the people where they can watch it. Oh, 1 o'clock Big Ten Network. Here we go. 1 o'clock on the Big Ten Network. Another pick-up. Haslam has this game 76.3 to 76.13. So we're going to go with pick-em, and we're going to put the over-under at 151.5. So, Ben, I will start with you.
Yeah, so I think Wisconsin needs this game just for momentum purposes heading in to the Big Ten tournament. They have won, I think, 2 games in February, both at home, though. So that's why I think I'm leaning towards them in this game. They can hopefully get this win at home, kind of right the ship for them heading into March, wherever that takes them. No discredit to Illinois, though. I think they're still a very good team. A little mess up there at Penn State, which I don't know if any of you saw that game. That wasn't like in Penn State's actual arena. It was in in the wrestling room or something. Yeah, so those people were like
old gym. Yeah, and it was like only students, right, Ben?
Yeah, it was crazy. I was talking to my brother about it. They were all packed in there. It was wild atmosphere. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think Wisconsin squeaks this one out. I think it's very close. Maybe like a 1-2 point game. Over under, I would say under. 151's a lot, but I would probably stay away from it.
That's fair. Luke, give us your pick here.
Yeah. No, I would just like to say, Illinois, I think, is a team that can make some noise down the stretch in this, or at least making some noise in the tournament here. And Wisconsin is a team that, has crumbled as they were ranked 6th at the beginning of the month here in February, and now they're an unranked team heading into March. But I think Wisconsin really just needs a quad one win here. They need AR, have it written down here, but yeah, no, I think Wisconsin finds a way to get this one done at home. They really kind of need this bounce back win here. But yeah, we have it down as a pick 'em. They'll probably be like 1.5, 2-point favorites, I think, by the time the line closes. But I would take Wisconsin here.
Michael.
So there's no rhyme or reason to this. I just hate Illinois, so give me Wisconsin by 1 million. I just hate Illinois. Never liked them as a team. Just give me Wisconsin.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
I got
also
in March Madness. I don't care if they hate them.
I'm also going to go with Wisconsin here. Probably going to give them the kiss of death. But you guys already said it. Wisconsin in desperate need of a win. They were 16-4 to start the season. They're now 18-10. Yeah, John Fanta tweeted it out. They were in the top 16 when the committee did their preview. They were, I think, a 4 seed in what would have been UConn's region at the time. But now they're very much on the bubble. I still think they'd be in if the tournament was today, but they definitely can't keep losing these games. At 18-10, I think you need at least 20 wins if you're Wisconsin. So you probably got to win 2 more in the regular season, and if you don't, you got to win at least a game in the Big Ten tournament if you want to feel safe. But I think this is going to be a great atmosphere for Wisconsin. It's kind of whenever we have games here where a ranked team goes to an unranked team, especially when you're a team like Wisconsin who desperately needs a win, I'm just going to pick Wisconsin. I think they'll be slight dogs. You guys were kind of alluding to that already. They're a pick 'em here, so I'll go with Wisconsin. And I'm going to go with the under 151.5. But I do think Wisconsin is going to pull this out because if they don't, I mean, you're looking their last couple of games here after that. They have Rutgers at home, which, sorry, Luke, Rutgers this year isn't exactly a big win. And then they go to Purdue at the end of the season. So if they lose this game, and they split, you're looking at a team that's 19-12 heading into the Big Ten tournament. You really need a win or two to be safe. So I'm going to go with Wisconsin here to pull this one out. But moving on, speaking with the other team in the state of Wisconsin, number 5 Marquette going to number 12 Creighton. That game on Fox at 2:30. Haslam has the game Marquette 76, Creighton 74. So we're going to go with Marquette 1.5-point favorites on the road, over under 149. I'm going to let Luke start us out again just because I know how much he loves Marquette.
I'm going to get roasted for Marquette. For any one of those who don't know, I picked Marquette to win the last 2 tournaments, but we're just not going to talk about that. But and I think I'm going to pick them again to go all the way. I probably will. I haven't decided yet, but I do think they are one of those teams that's built to win a title here. They got the best guard in the country in Kolek, probably the best big man, if not one of the best big men, Iguodaro. They're just insane in the pick and roll game, but they seem to be putting it all together down the stretch here. Outside of their big loss to UConn I think about a week ago, I don't really remember, but if they can go into, Creighton and come away with a win here and then find a way to beat UConn at home, I think they have a real chance to win the Big East. I think they're probably in the driver's seat, honestly, if they find a way to beat UConn and then win out the rest of the season. But yeah, I'm going to take Marquette here. I think they're going to probably just win this game in a close one. I would say probably somewhere in the 70s, 77, 74 Marquette.
Ben, you go next.
Yeah, as Joe was saying before we got to Luke, Luke has been obsessed with Marquette for forever. I think it was 2019, maybe, the NCAA tournament. Marcus Howard, he was obsessed with him and thought he was better than John Morant on Murray State. But anyway, I'm picking Creighton solely off that fact because I knew Luke was going to pick Marquette. And give me Creighton. Big East is just I think their tournament's going to be crazy. Their conference tourney is just going to be hell. It's going to be crazy, I think. And also shout out Pat Mattis. Bet on Creighton, 50 to win 400 to make the Final Four. Last bet standing for him last bet standing out there for him in existence. So I gotta go. I gotta go with him.
The last ride. Shout out, Pat. Michael, what do you got in this game?
I'm taking Marquette. Creighton's coming off that 14, 15-point loss to St. John's a couple of days ago, last week or whatever. So either they got to turn it around against Marquette, and also because of what Creighton did to UConn last week. So not the biggest Creighton fan, but give me Marquette.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Creighton kind of because of what you guys were saying. Creighton at home is kind of like most teams in college basketball this year. A lot of teams struggle to win on the road, which normally, is usual. But I feel like this year it's happening more and more. Teams are just struggling when they go on the road. But I'm going to go with Creighton 77, Marquette 74. If you're going to give me Creighton as a home dog in this one, I'll take that every day. So I'll take them plus the 1.5. I'm going to go with the over 149.5. In this game, Luke, you were kind of alluding to it. If Marquette wins, they have a very real shot to get a share of the Big East title with UConn, because UConn currently has a 2-game lead with 3 to go. So if Marquette were to lose and then UConn hosts Seton Hall on Sunday and UConn wins, they clinch the 1 seed. They get the outright regular season title. They'd obviously have to play in the tournament. But, Luke, I'm kind of with you. UConn, I know I'm talking about UConn right now, but their last 2 games are both on the road. So I definitely wouldn't mind if Marquette dropped this one. I think Creighton at home is a different team, like I said. So give me the Blue Jays here. You guys kind of already took all the analysis. That's why I kind of like going last sometimes. We're going to move on to a game that I picked. Yeah, I picked the games yesterday in the afternoon. I thought Mississippi State was going to beat Kentucky, and this game was going to be set up to be a little bit bigger. I'm going Mississippi State at number 11 Auburn. Auburn just lost to Tennessee in a tight game. 4 p.m. on ESPN2. Haslam has the game Auburn 76, Mississippi State 66. Auburn minus the 9.5, over under 141.5. I'm going to start us out with this one, and I'll be quick about it. I'm going to go Auburn 81, Mississippi State 70. So I'm going to go Auburn minus the 9.5, and I'm going to go with the over in that game if it's that low. I know Mississippi State likes to play defense. They're coming off a high-scoring game where they're definitely, emotionally and physically gassed because, they like to keep games low scoring. They like to play physical defense. When you're making them run that much, I don't know how their bounce back is going to be, especially going on the road where, meanwhile, you kind of have 2 teams coming off of opposite emotions in a loss. Auburn's pissed off that they dropped a close game at Tennessee. They're coming home with a chance to bounce back. Mississippi State, on the other hand, is going on the road. They had a really they had that game won, in my opinion, and then all of a sudden they dropped that game late. So I am going to go, Luke, I hate you, with Auburn. So I'm going to move on here. Mike,
give me Auburn. I'm taking their spread. I think they're going to win by 15, honestly. Like you're saying, they're coming off that tough loss they just had today, and they're just going to bounce back and just dominate, I feel like, at home.
That's fair. All right, Ben, let me hear yours.
Yeah, I think it was an 8-point loss or something tonight. But I still think Auburn's been playing well recently. Yeah. They had that 11-point loss at Kentucky, but beat up on South Carolina at South Carolina, beat up on Georgia, beat up on 18-point win against Alabama. They're beating teams, and I think they can get this one done at home. I'm expecting a lot of points. Auburn averaging 80, 82 points a game or something. So yeah, give me, was it 9.5? Yeah, give me Auburn 9.5, and then over 141.5.
Luke.
Yeah, so I had written down here, depends how they play tonight against Tennessee. But with that said, they have a pretty easy road, Auburn, down the stretch here. I think they can make some noise in their tournament here, the SEC. But yeah, give me Auburn to win this one pretty easily. I think they could win this one by 12 to 15 plus points here.
Okay. All right, we're going to move on. So we lost Michael there
quickly. There he is.
Got him back.
Sorry.
We're going to move on to our first game of the night slate, 8 o'clock on ESPN2. Number 1, Houston going to Oklahoma. Houston projected to win this game 68-61. So we're going to do Houston minus the 6.5, over under 128.5. Ben, we'll have you start out with this one.
So I think Houston #1 in the nation as of like last week, 2 weeks ago, and I think they're playing very well right now. I think they will be one of the favorites heading into the NCAA tournament. Top 3 guys are all averaging like anywhere from like 13, 15 points a game and like 4 assists, 4 rebounds. I think they get this one done. I don't know if they cover the spread away at Oklahoma. I feel like it's gonna be a tough game, but I think Houston does get it done. Give me the over 128.5 as well. Why not?
All right, Michael, you go next.
I agree with you, Ben. I think the over is going to hit. I think they're just going to cakewalk their way through the rest of the season, stay at that 1 seed. They had that big overtime win against Baylor at home on Saturday. I feel like they're just going to be cruising for the rest of the season until the tourney starts, and that's when it really begins.
Luke.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you guys. Well said, but I do think Houston is the best team in the country right now. I think hands down, at least from an all-around standpoint. They're just sound defensively. Like Ben said, they got the top 3 guys, I think, just overall are just insane. You got 3-level scorers all over the court. It's going to be hard to beat Houston in a neutral location come tournament time, I believe. Oklahoma, has not been able to really get it done against some of the good teams in the Big 12. They lost to Kansas twice, Baylor, Texas, Texas Tech, TCU, who we'll get into TCU later. But, I think Houston wins this one.
Yeah, I'm calling my shot here. I'm actually going with Oklahoma to pull off the upset 65-62. This just kind of seems like a Houston team. They're the #1 team in the country. I'm not taking anything away from them. But they just kind of seem like a team due for a loss, kind of like UConn was when they went to play Creighton. This is an Oklahoma team, even though everything in my body is telling me pick Houston. Oklahoma, even currently right now on the road, down 14 with 2 minutes left against Iowa State, a team that's very similar to Houston. They're losing that game 56-42. As I'm looking at this, I'm hating my pick, but I'm still going to stick with the Sooners here. Even if I don't think they're going to win outright, I love them at plus 6.5. I feel like the spread will be a little bit more, so I'm definitely going to take Oklahoma to cover the spread. Houston not very good covering the spread on the road. But Michael, to your point, if Houston wins this game, their last 2 games are at UCF, and then they get to host Kansas. I don't see them losing either of those 2 games, even though UCF has some weird witchcraft. They beat Kansas and Texas Tech at home, but I don't see Houston losing on the road there. So I'm going to go with Oklahoma to pull off the upset, because if not, Oklahoma, kind of like we were talking about with Wisconsin, they're about to lose tonight. They lose to Houston. They're all of a sudden 19-10 with 2 to go. They should be in because the Big 12 getting a lot of benefit of the doubt from the committee, but they finish their season at Texas. They have a game against Cincinnati during the week next week. You get the #1 team in America coming to your door. You should definitely take advantage of that opportunity, because you get that win, that locks you up. There's no ifs, ands, or buts that Oklahoma will be going to the tournament. So give me the Sooners to pull off the massive upset here.
This is a little off topic.
Now we're moving on to the main event.
Didn't UCF get
No, there you go.
Who's that kid? He got arrested for like a gun charge. Mikey Williams, right?
I have no clue where Mikey
Didn't
Williams.
Hey, last year? No, that was Bama, I think. That was what's his name?
No, I thought he's going to UCF now or something.
I know Mikey Williams.
Brandon Miller, wasn't it? Brandon Miller?
No.
That was last year. Look, this year, Mikey Williams, he was like Memphis's top recruit out of high school. He got arrested on a gun. Yeah, Michael, good pull. I had no clue. Mikey Williams commits to UCF.
There you go, Mikey Kmetz.
Mikey Kmetz with the scoops. That could be a month-old, a year-old. To me, it's new, so I'm crediting you with that. January 12th he announced it. I had no clue. Shout out Mikey Kmetz.
Yeah, look at me with the ball knowledge, huh?
Mikey Kmetz, confirmed ball knower. I am not a ball knower. Mikey Williams do they do, while we're totally down the rabbit hole, if you transfer in season, can you play in season, or do you have to wait?
I think if you go across divisions, it's the same division, then yeah, I think so.
I don't think he can play this season, though.
Because if he could, that would be hilarious to see him suiting up for UCF. But all right, we're going to move on to the main event of the day. We got a couple games left, but this is the college game day game. The biggest game of the day, number 4 Tennessee, just beat Auburn. They are going to number 14 Alabama, who is currently down 3 at the half to Ole Miss. Like I said, a big one for Ole Miss if they want to go out and make the tournament. But we have the game projected to be Bama 83, Tennessee 82. So I'm going to put this as a pick 'em, being a 1-point game. And I'm going to put the over at 164.5. Luke, I'm going to have you start. I'm picking on you a lot tonight.
Well, if the over-under is 164.5, that might be my play of the weekend, not going to lie to you. I do like Bama in this spot on their home court. Mark Sears, he can score from just about anywhere, and the whole Bama team just plays with they're on fire. I mean, they're running up and down the floor. They shoot 10 times in a minute. It's crazy. But I think Bama wins this one in a tight, high-scoring game here. I don't know. I would give a correct score, but it'd probably be about 85 to 83. I think it'd be a close score, but I think they do win a tight one there.
All right, Ben.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty close game as well. And when it comes down to those close games like that, home court really matters in games like that, in my opinion. And when you got College game day coming to you, that's pretty big. And I also found out that Alabama's midterm grades just got submitted getting submitted that Saturday. So I don't know about you guys, but when midterm or final grades got posted, I tended to drink a little bit afterwards. So those students might get pretty crazy.
I was going to say, Ben, you and me both, you obviously being in physical therapy school, when I was in OT school, it was kind of the same thing around midterms and finals because your life was over regardless. So, I can't blame them there. Oh, wait, Ben, you keep going. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, but I was going to say, but yeah, I think Alabama pulls it out, but I think it's going to be a very entertaining game. You got the nation's 2 leading scorers in Kmetz and Sears. I think the over, I would go with the over on this one, and I'm picking Bama.
All right, Michael, what about you?
I like Bama here, but since you guys are all saying Bama, I'm gonna take Tennessee spread. I think Bama will win, but give me the Tennessee spread.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can't pick against Bama if they're at home here. Bama had a great game offensively against Kentucky the other week. They put up, I think, almost 90. The problem is they let up 110 points. I really like this Bama team offensively. Tennessee, as much as I hate them, Coyle and I just have a grudge against Tennessee basketball, more so me, just because they always, choke in March. They're kind of like the Purdue of the SEC when it comes to basketball. But I'm going to go with Bama here by a point. I'm going to go 84-83. So I'll take the over. Luke, I'm with you. If the over is 164.5, I will definitely take it. And I'm going to go with Bama to win this game at home. You guys kind of said everything, especially to Bama coming off the, embarrassing loss to Kentucky, especially if Bama goes out and gets upset against Ole Miss. I think that Nate Oates is going to have these guys pissed off, in practice the next couple of days, getting them ready for, you can bounce back on the national stage. Everyone's going to be watching. It's 8 o'clock. It's the primetime game. You got probably a couple NBA games, but this is the main event. So I think Bama is going to get this one done at home. Michael, you said something?
Yeah, Bama's playing Ole Miss right now. They're down by 4 at half, and I've been watching the game while we've been talking, and they've been playing good right now. So we'll see how this game goes.
Were you not listening to me when I said that? I got the game on right here.
I was looking at it.
I literally said at the start of. I said at the start of the.
Joe, he's watching the game. Of course, he didn't hear you talk about watching the game.
He was too invested trying to get
talk
some
about
info
a mellow. Oh my goodness, that was an all-time mellow here on Beef Up Front. All right, we're gonna move on to our second to last game. We'll keep this one kind of quick. We have TCU at BYU, 9 o'clock on the Big 12 Network. I hate when these games are on these stupid streaming only channels. This is a pretty big game in terms of the bubble. BYU definitely just got themselves off the bubble and locked up when they beat Kansas. Like I said, I made I made all the picks for the games before the games yesterday. I didn't think BYU was going to win that game. Now you have BYU as a lock, in my opinion. They can lose out. That win at Kansas should be enough to get them locked into that tournament field. But Haslam has this game projected BYU 80, TCU 75. So we're going to go BYU minus the 4.5, over under 154.5. Michael, you start us out with this one.
Give me TCU because BYU on Saturday, I had them money line, and they played maybe the most horrific game I've ever seen. They had 2 possessions where they got 3 offensive rebounds and didn't score on 7 shot attempts. So please give me TCU. I hate BYU. Yeah, they sold me last week.
That's fair.
Give me
Ben,
TCU.
you go.
Yeah, so I have the opposite of that. I think TCU has stolen so much coin from me. Any sport, anything, I just cannot bet them anymore. So I'm going BYU, but I do think they're riding high after going into Allen Fieldhouse out of all places and getting a win. Like, that's a pretty crazy thing to do. And then they beat Baylor at home as well. So I think they get it done here.
Luke, you go.
Yeah, TCU, dude. I just drowning, dude. It's so bad. Every time I take a bet with TCU, Ben, it loses. It just loses. I have nothing else to say.
You're worse than I am.
So
You're worse than I am.
Dude, the national championship 13.5 against Georgia, like in a national championship game. Like,
that's how
really?
far back Luke's holding this group.
Really? And then because you remember that year though, like they
I do.
Against the spread. They were undefeated, and then they were undefeated against the spread, I think, going into that game, and then they just got blown out. But anyway, back to basketball. I'm gonna, for the sake of the show, I'll take TCU. But if you're a betting man, now bet BYU, because now you know I have TCU.
No, don't bet BYU.
It's a guaranteed loss if I have it.
I love how this grudge is because of TCU football. It's not even on the basketball team.
I think I took
him last week too.
I know. I took a money line like a few days ago, and they got blown out. Yeah, steak knife, man. I took a steak knife.
No,
I'm gonna keep
knife,
this
I
one.
apologize.
I'm gonna keep this one quick. We've definitely kind of lost our train of thought a little bit. We're kind of off the rails. I'm going to go – I'm not even going to make a score prediction. I'm going to just go TCU to cover the 4.5. I'll go with the under. I think BYU will win this game close. Kind of a little bit of an emotional hangover because I know the Mormons, can't drink. But an emotional hangover coming off that game against Kansas. Right now, these teams are tied with Texas Tech for 5th place in the conference. ESPN has it as BYU 6th, TCU 7th in terms of the order of the teams, but also both these teams are only a game out of 3rd place in the Big 12. BYU definitely doing way better than I expected them to in year one. Like I said, that game definitely clinched them a tournament bid. Even if they were to lose this game, they go to Iowa State and then they host Oklahoma State to end the season. I think they'd be able to beat Oklahoma State. That would get them to 21. I think they'd be safe. TCU, on the other hand, they have to go on the road here. Then they go to West Virginia, who West Virginia basketball is a team I've lost way too much money on this year. Because whenever
betting against them has screwed me.
I was going to say, whenever I bet on them, they turn into like the 98 Bulls.
Do they still have
TCU,
coach?
Besides this game, what was that? What are you guys saying?
Still have that coach?
No, Huggins. He got a DUI. He got arrested. They fired him.
Oh, Bob Huggins.
Dude, Bob Huggins blew like a 0.24 blood alcohol.
I forgot about that. Oh my god.
Rookie
was hammered.
Rookie numbers.
But sorry, Coyle, and whoever has to edit this, if you guys are even going to post it at this point.
Sorry, guys.
But and then TCU ends their season at home against UCF, a win that is going to get them a lot of carryover with the committee. They had a really weak non-conference schedule, and TCU, if they do lose a couple of games, you might see them at like 10th or 11th going into the Big 12 tournament. So TCU desperately needs a win. That's why I would lean on them to cover. I'll probably stay away from it and take just BYU money line in this game. Now we're going to go on to the late night game, last game of the day. Get this show wrapped up here. Number 23 Gonzaga in desperate need of a win if they want to make the tournament. Lenardi and kind of every other bracketologist has them right on the bubble. They're at number 17 St. Mary's. St. Mary's favored to win this game 71-68. So we'll go St. Mary's minus the 2.5, over under 138.5. Michael, you start us out with this last one.
Once again, just like Illinois, I hate Gonzaga. I've never liked them. I've always just been a hater. So give me St. Mary's. But even with St. Mary's, we were talking about this before the show started. They're both just overrated, annoying teams, in my opinion. So I don't really care about the game. Give me St. Mary's. Being honest.
It's fair. Ben.
Yeah. So I'm also like not the biggest fan of Gonzaga, especially this year. I don't think they played they just beat up on the teams they're supposed to recently. They beat Kentucky at Kentucky, but I just don't think they've done enough to win me over. And I think St. Mary's wins this game, finishes the conference season undefeated. I think they need to win either tonight or tomorrow against someone. Pepperdine, maybe.
They're playing at Pepperdine tomorrow, 11 p.m. on CBS Sports Network. St. Mary's.
Late night, but yeah, give me St. Mary's in this one. I'll take a -2.5.
Lucas, quick pick here from you.
Yeah, so I like St. Mary's a lot here. Zags are, I think, like you guys said, overrated here. But I think St. Mary's, they play pretty slow. They're really good at controlling the pace of a game, and if you don't score early on them, then you're not coming back. They do a really good job of controlling the pace here. And the last time they played, it was a really low-scoring game. St. Mary's kind of pulled it out there in the end. I think it goes the same way. I would take St. Mary's -2.5. They probably win by – it's going to be close. Might lose by the hook, honestly. But 2.5 seems like a good bet there. I'll take that.
Yeah, I'm going to go with St. Mary's as well as a steak knife solidarity play from back when we were all in college and the whole damn bar had St. Mary's, and they covered it, and I think they won outright. But I'm going to go St. Mary's 73, Gonzaga 69. I'm going to go St. Mary's to cover over 138. I think St. Mary's is just a better team. Gonzaga is 23rd in the country, but Coyle's been saying it a lot on Beef Up Front when we do our shows. There are not 25 teams that belong in the top 25 this year. It's kind of just like we need to fill the top 25. So here are where these teams are going. It feels like this year it's very top heavy in college basketball. Like Gonzaga is one of the weakest number 23 teams, maybe in the past 5 to 10 years, like at least that I can remember watching college basketball.
I agree.
And on top of that too, Gonzaga tomorrow night, they play at San Francisco, who's 22-7, who's currently the third place team in the West Coast Conference. And then you have to go Saturday to St. Mary's. That's a tough back-to-back, probably staying down in that area because I don't see them going to San Francisco, going back up to Gonzaga Friday, then going back Saturday. So it's just a tough road trip against, the two best teams that aren't you in the conference. I mean, that's a tough back-to-back. That'd be like the Misericordia Cougars going and playing Stevens and DeSales back-to-back. It's going to be tough to split or, sweep that road trip. So I'm going to go with St. Mary's here. I always love this rivalry when it's like the last game of the season for them because, you forget sometimes with Gonzaga that conference is like a mid-major small conference. Mm-hmm. But it is really cool seeing, Gonzaga with this massive arena going to these schools with these like small gyms, like St. Mary's gym. It's like you're on top of the court. There's like maybe 5,000 students there. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to go with the Gales to win this one and finish. Ben, I'm with you. 16-0 in the West Coast Conference. That'll give them the 1 seed. Yep. St. Mary's is definitely in the NCAA tournament. So shout out to Gales. And shout out us. Any last words, guys? That was our last game of the day. We got through it. Beef Up Front. A nice little long one for the people. Almost 45 minutes here. I mean, we had 4 people picking. But any last words, guys?
Shout out.
What do you say?
Shout out.
Shout out. He did it again.
Shout out somebody.
I think he's shout out Coyle.
Yeah. I was watching TV.
I said shout out Coyle.
Shout out Coyle.
The first two went shout out, and like when you looked away from the phone, it stopped. We couldn't
shout out Coyle.
All right, shout out Coyle. Coyle, please come back next week. Look what happens when I run the show.
Yeah, Beef might not make it if it's the 4 of us on here.
No, I do not think. I think Sean Bernard would cut us in a heartbeat if it was the 4 of us.
Oh, we'd be gone.
Shout out Pick Swap. Shout out Beef. Thank you guys for letting me do this week. I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys had fun.
Yeah,
if you're
I had so
watching,
much
I hope
fun.
you,
Always a
yes,
blast.
I hope you had some fun
Always a
watching us.
blast on B.
But this is Beef Up Front. This is the last full weekend of the regular season. Starting Monday of next week, the smaller conferences start their tournaments. So we're Champ Week starts next week. We're like 16, 17 days away from Selection Sunday. So let's lock in. Good luck, everyone, with your bets, and have a good night.
Those brackets ready.
One day closer. Good night, fellas.
Us.
Yes.